Hello everybody, my name's The Breath and welcome back to Goaly-Poly, my series where I try to take my favourite real life club Wycombe Wanderers on a bungling journey up the divisions of English football and hopefully to Champions League glory. Before we get into it, I've got a couple of very quick announcements. The first of all is that the audio for this recording, the live recording audio, it went catastrophically wrong. Where I thought I had my actual microphone, the one that I do my recording into, plugged in and set to recording that audio, I actually had my good old laptop microphone. So the audio is unusable for this episode. Let's face it, not the worst thing I've done, and yes, that is foreshadowing for episode 7. But that's the situation we find ourselves in, and so this episode is going to end up being a shorter one, I think, as I am essentially going to sit here and take you through exactly what happened, only in post. Shockingly for this series, we have reached the 6th episode and it's the first time that I've made no major changes in between the sessions. We're still rocking the 4-4-1-1 that won us those results last time, and our first challenge up was a tough looking away day against Barnsley. Barnsley, of course, in real life were a championship side as recently as 2022, when they finished bottom of the championship and have remained in League One ever since. That didn't mean they were a team to be glossed over, and so I played a strong looking 11. The only real change I was forced into making was that Anders Hagelskjart came in at left-sided centre-back rather than at left-back where he has been playing, because we suffered an injury to our left-sided centre-back, Sonny Bradley, and we had to fill in. This meant that Dan Harvey got a shout as first choice left back, and I don't think he let the side down at all. The game itself was pretty slow from the start. Barnsley did a lot of knocking the ball around and making dangerous looking runs. In the run up to half time though, they did get a shot off and they could not find the target. This meant in the second half the game was all to play for. Now, a point on the road wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. However, as this Wycombe team have so frequently done, we found the opening goal. Now, the break came from a period of strong possession play. We received a free kick deep into their half and the ball was flicked forward, and it was Dan Harvey who was completely unmarked and took a shot from exceptional range. Now, you have to say it was poor goalkeeping. In fact, no, it was really poor goalkeeping. But a shot on target is what you need to go ahead, and that was the one that gave us the lead. And in fact, that one goal was all that came in this match. Barnsley had periods where they looked threatening. They had a spectacular unmarked long throw from the edge of the box around the 60-minute mark, but the shot was deflected behind for a corner and nothing came of it. So despite Barnsley making numerous highlights in the last sort of 30 minutes of the game, it ended 1-0 to the Wanderers on the road, and those 3 points put us in a very solid 5th position in the league on 31 points from our first 16 games, with now a plus 16 goal difference, and only 5 points back from league leaders Lincoln City, on whom we have a game in hand. But that game in the league was not going to be played straight away, as it was crunch time in the Virtue Trophy, the Mickey Mouse Cup as I accurately describe it. And we have to play Brentford's under 21s in a game where anything less than a win would see us eliminated from the competition. Now, there was lots of stuff I needed to think about for this game. Did I play a strong side? Did I stick with my second team to get the match experience? And so I studied the table and it became apparent to me that actually it wasn't about our result. If we won, we would still be eliminated unless Notts County got a good result against Bromley. And actually, when I'm in a situation where my result doesn't necessarily matter, I figured there was no good excuse for not letting my second team have a run out. As before, Norris starts in goal, the 2 on loan centre-backs, Kirk and Stewart, in defence. Luke Lee, he did come in at left-back as Dan Harvey played the last game. And then it was Rashawn Scott, Josh Scow and Tariq Bakinson, Kian Kelly Caprani. Louis Watson took the shadow striker role and Tyrese Sinclair got to flex his muscles up front. Now Brentford may be Premier League opposition, but their under-21 squad is nowhere near that level. They lined up in a defensive looking 5-3-2. The most notable players on there, Andre Gray and Nathan Young-Coombs. Now the name of their goalkeeper absolutely slipped my mind until he started making saves in the first half. In fact, I couldn't believe my eyes. His name is Wolfheimer and I had to double check in game. Although any thoughts I may have had at the time around signing this young man went completely out the window when I realised that he was 5'9" and playing in goal. Kid can't even touch the crossbar, let alone do a job for me. It's not even like his jumping reach and aerial reach are 20s. I don't know what his jumping reach is, but a range of between 10 and 18 on his aerial reach, it just wasn't to be. And when I saw that, I thought I could smell blood. That was until they struck first, with Nathan Young-Coombs dispatching a very cool penalty from the spot. That got me sweating, but thankfully I didn't need to wait too long, as inside 10 minutes we had a glorious opportunity that Tyrese Sinclair did not waste. From across, his header came off the woodwork, but he immediately picked the ball back up, turned around, cut inside, dribbled past 3 people and blasted a ridiculously powerful shot into the corner. As we went into half time all square at Adams Park, it dawned on me that we had problems in the other fixture. Bromley had taken a narrow 2-1 lead against Notts County, and as it stood, even if we scored 5, we were not going to progress. But as with any competitive game in real life, I couldn't let the other results affect what I was doing. I had a job to do. I had to get this team to win. So I pepped them up with a half-time team talk, slapped them on the arses and sent them back out on the pitch, and they responded almost immediately. Just about 3 minutes out from half time, we have a corner, and the new man who came in on a free signing, Louis Watson, put an absolute peach of a ball onto the head of our 5'9" striker Tyrese Sinclair, and it was an emphatic header if you've ever seen one. With that lead, we bumped ourselves up into 3rd in the table, and we were just hoping, waiting, praying for Notts County to take the lead in their game and we would be through. We were doing everything we needed to, and we were clinging on. In fact, we were clinging on so well that when we got a corner in the 52nd minute, less than 5 minutes after our last corner goal, when Luke Leahy put a peach in for Cameron Stewart to get up and head home his first goal of the campaign, well, it looked like we were flying. It looked like there was nothing this Wanderers team couldn't do. That is, apart from progress in the Virtue Trophy, because Bromley swiftly put themselves 3-4 goals past Notts County to break Wycombe Hearts, and we have failed our first board objective. We have been eliminated from the Virtue Trophy. Last year's finalists were this year's failures. I had to remain positive and keep the team's morale high, and so I told them what I told myself. This gave us a perfect opportunity to focus on the league. Our target before the season was playoff places. Now, eliminated from every single domestic competition available to us, I figured there was no reason at all that we shouldn't be able to push for that 2nd place automatic promotion spot. Now sure, if we could win the league, that would be amazing, but we have not topped the table at all this season. And also, I don't really want to pay Fleetwood another 250k or whatever the bonus was for Promise on a Sherry. The best way for us to avoid having to pay that optional fee is if we get promoted this year without winning the league, and then it becomes physically impossible for us to win the Sky Bet League 1 by the end of the 24-25 season. So I told the boys, they got to lock in because that second place is going to need us to win the vast majority, if not all, of the rest of our games. So when the team next walked out at home against Mansfield Town, I had to remain positive, which was really easy to do for the first 60 seconds, because on the 66-second mark, the ball over the top to Rhodes split our defence open and we went 1-0 down at home. I mean, it was a great strike, there's not a lot else I can say about it, but our defence were not switched on from the off and we paid the price. And that clearly had catastrophic results on team morale, as in the 8-minute mark, a promising Wycombe attack turned into a Mansfield counter-attack, and after knocking the ball about briefly, they put a peach of a low ball in and Will Evans smashed one home into the top corner to double Mansfield's lead at Adams Park inside 9 minutes. So I did some tactical rejigging, some positional rejigging, and just after the half an hour mark, when Gareth McCleary found himself shuffling into a bit of space, he played a peach of a ball over the back line, and Richard Kone dispatched a clinical and sensational volley into the top left corner. All of a sudden, it was game on at Adams Park and we found ourselves only 1 goal back and rapidly approaching half time. And as the seconds ticked down towards the second half, they had a promising attack which we intercepted, punted long to Richard Kone, who played Alex Lowry in immense space. He ran down the left, put in a peach of a cross, and Kone got up to head home his second of the game to level us up inside the first half. The tables had turned massively as we went from the team who conceded 2 goals in 10 minutes to the team that scored 2 goals in less than 10 minutes. All of a sudden, a hopeless situation had become full of hope, and in the second half it was all to play for, and play these boys did. But I'm not talking about my Wycombe Wanderers side. Mansfield had a long throw, and in the ensuing pinball, Rhodes was able to get up and head Mansfield in front. For a long time it looked like that was going to be the result. We weren't making highlights, the seconds were ticking down, and then we got one. In the 78th minute, approaching the embers of the game, one of their attacks we countered perfectly, and Lowry was able to play a deep ball in. Vokesy wasn't able to score, but Oni Adinma was there to tap home the rebound to even the game up with less than 15 minutes left to play. So I fired up the boys and I watched as the clock ran down into the 80, 81st, 82nd, 83rd minute. And Mansfield had a brutal looking counter-attack opportunity. They blazed their shot over the bar and I breathed a big sigh of relief. A point in this game I was more than happy with. But then, in the 88th minute, we got ourselves a corner. It was taken low by Lowry to the edge of the box, where Watson was unmarked. He laid it level to McCleary, who took 2 touches inside and with his weak foot smashed it home, albeit with a deflection, into the top bins. And that is how the game ended. Wycombe 4, Mansfield 3, and the Wanderers had taken 3 points out of a game that they were behind at every available opportunity. It really was game of the season stuff. And I didn't want to stop. I didn't think we had to stop. We pulled out a miraculous result against Mansfield, one of the harder opposition this season, and I looked at our calendar and realised we had to play another one. Wigan might have had a points deduction for going into administration or financial fair play issues or whatever it is, but they still had a really strong team. They were not going to make our home life easy for us, and we had to make our own luck. And that's exactly what we did, as inside the 2nd minute of the game, we had a rattled shot that pinballed its way to Xavi Simons, who found Richard Kone unmarked in the centre of the box to dispatch a 1-0 lead for Wycombe. It wasn't destined to stay that way forever though, as 15 minutes in they got themselves a throw-in that they masterfully worked the ball around us. And it was Dale Taylor, the man who last season in real life was on loan at Wycombe and scoring in the Mickey Mouse Cup final. Well, he broke Wycombe hearts by scoring and equalising for Wigan Athletic here. And that scoreline of 1-1 would continue all the way to full time. There was really nothing else of note. Wycombe scored 1, Wigan scored 1, and it was honours shared at the park this time out. I then had a stroke of good fortune as Maidstone United came in with a loan offer for the 26-year-old winger Jordan Higgs, who was admittedly one of my inexperienced and panic purchases from the earlier episodes. I bought him in on a free and I was guaranteed to receive 80% of his wage contribution and £160 per month, which no, is not a lot of money, but it's something. And it came with an optional future fee of just under £5,000. So if I'm able to turn that, well, I've made money from a free transfer. It can't be the best bit of business I've ever done or ever will do, but it can't be the worst, surely. But I couldn't dwell on my business acumen for too long. I had to turn my attention swiftly to St Andrews, where Wycombe had to go and face Birmingham City, who in this season in real life broke the transfer record for League One. They splashed their cash big time, and Jay Stansfield, their £15 million man, led their line. This wasn't going to be an easy game. In fact, I didn't expect to take even so much as a single point out of it. I started a varied starting 11. Rashawn Scott, Christy Ward, Kelly Caprani and Sam Vokes all got some time in the starting lineup. Resigned to my fate, I kicked off the game, and we sat and did nothing for essentially the first 23 minutes of the game. There were no highlights, and then as Birmingham broke down their left-hand side, well, we conceded a sloppy penalty. I was resigned for this to go in as Jutkovic, whose name I'm 100% butchering, stepped up, and it hit the woodwork to deny Birmingham the lead against Wycombe Wanderers, and the counter-attack was on. Before long, we had a free kick up the other end, and Christy Ward from outside the area side-footed a shot straight into the corner, and Wycombe had somehow taken a 1-0 lead at St Andrews 25 minutes into the game. We were up into 3rd place with results around us, and I didn't think it could get any better before half time, but in the 45th plus 3 of 45 plus 3, we had a free kick that Alex Lowry put perfectly onto the head of Anders Hagelskjaer to double Wycombe's lead before half time. I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I couldn't believe in the second half as I sat and watched the clock tick down, because full time came and we had beaten Birmingham 2-0 away and kept a clean sheet. I was in disbelief. We'd managed to take 3 massive results from 3 really tough fixtures. All 3 points against Mansfield and Birmingham and a 1-1 draw against Wigan were the results that we absolutely needed. We were sat firmly and squarely in 3rd place. At this moment I realised I was onto a winner. We had a group of players who all knew how to play the tactical direction I was giving them. They all knew how to play the formation I was asking them to play. And we had found that sweet winning combination. So they say if something ain't broke, don't fix it, and with all credit and respect to Shrewsbury Town, they were coming to Adams Park next, and I was not scared in the slightest. The reason for that became apparent as the 11th minute approached, as a sustained period of Wycombe attacking possession found Louis Watson, the free man into the club, unmarked on the edge of the area, who sent the ball rocketing into the back of the net for 1-0. And then in the 55th minute, we absolutely put this game to bed. A good little worked piece of play saw the ball looped into Richard Kone, who tapped home the rebound from his own header to double Wycombe's advantage. We could see the Shrewsbury Town heads drop. They were dejected. They couldn't string more than 3 passes together for the rest of this match. On top of that, their discipline was getting sloppy. They had 5 men in the book. And I almost felt bad for them as the 83rd minute of the match rolled around and they conceded an own goal from a Wycombe Wanderers corner. It's just the worst way to top off a performance like this. A big header deflected off the defender, but it goes down as an own goal and Shrewsbury were shrivelled. The game ended 3-0 and we had started an unbeaten streak, stretching on now 5 games unbeaten in all competitions. And that victory put Wycombe Wanderers for the first time this season and under the wing of a complete and utter pleb who has never in his 10 years of Football Manager experience done a genuine, serious and long-term save. Well, that Wycombe team now sits at the top of the League One table. Just don't look at the game in hand that Leyton Orient has, or the fact that it's on goal difference. It counts. History will know that after 20 games played, Wycombe Wanderers were top of the League One table and outshining their predictions. So that is where I'm going to leave you this episode. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I do apologise for the issue I had with the recording. I recorded episode 6 and episode 7, not quite back to back, but on the same day. And yeah, the recording issues persist into episode 7. So it is going to be a long one to make up for this one. Episode 7 will probably be longer than an hour. But trust me, you do not want to miss it. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and I look forward to seeing all of you and hopefully some more in the next one.